Welcome, everybody. My name is Gabriel Kennedy, and I will be your host today. Today we will have the show, The Life of Darryl. I hope you all tune in and enjoy the show. Thank you very much.
Hello, Darryl. Well, hello, Darryl. It's so nice to have you here where you belong.
You're looking swell, Darryl, we can tell. Darryl, you're still growing, you're still growing, you're still going strong.
We see your friends swaying,
Wild Jimmy's playing some of your old favorite scenes from way back when.
So take a seat, fellas. You're in for a real treat, fellas.
Darryl's life is on the stage today.
Hello, Darryl. Well, hello, Darryl.
It's so nice to have you back where you belong.
You're looking swell, Darryl. We can tell, Darryl. You're still growing. You're still growing. You're still going strong. See your friends swaying, wild Jimmy's swaying. Some of your scenes from way back then. Take a seat, fellas. You're in for a treat, fellas. Darryl's life is on the stage today. Darryl's life is on the stage. Darryl's life is on the stage today.
Now, the truth is, I've lived 18 years now, going on 19, nearly 20. Close enough. In any case, throughout those years, I've heard a lot of stories from this man sitting here in the blue shirt and the black pants. Everybody stare at him. Make him feel uncomfortable. So I've heard a lot of stories from him growing up, and the truth is, knowing about these stories, one of the first thoughts I've ever had was if I did what he did growing up, I would be in jail right now. No, really, I actually probably would. So, without further ado, Darryl's adventures at 10 years old.
Bruce, my good friend, you are the creative one.
Yes, I
You know, have you ever really wondered what's under the manhole cover? Like, seriously. You know, could you imagine under the sewers all the, rats and I heard there were alligators, but I think that's only in New York. Anyways. Got your flashlight?
Yes, I do.
There's a hole in the bottom of the street. There's a hole in the bottom of the street. There's a hole, there's a hole. There's a hole in the bottom of the street. There's a ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. There's a ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. There's a ladder, there's a ladder, there's a ladder in the hole bottom of the street. Let's climb down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. Let's climb down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. Let's climb down, let's climb down. Let's climb down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. Let's crawl through the tunnel down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. Let's crawl through the tunnel down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. Let's crawl through the tunnel down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. I can't see as we crawl through the tunnel down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. I can't see as we crawl through the tunnel down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. I can't see as we crawl through the tunnel down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. There's a light up ahead at the end of the tunnel that I can't see down the that we climb down in the hole in the bottom of the street. There's a light up ahead down the tunnel in the hole in the bottom of the street. There's a light up ahead. And as we crawl through the tunnel down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. Let's climb up to the light that we see as we crawl through the tunnel down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. Let's climb up to the light that we see as we crawl through the tunnel in the hole in the bottom of the street. Let's climb up. Let's climb up to the light that we see as we crawl through the tunnel down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. It's the school that we're in when we climb up to the light that we see as we crawl through the tunnel after we climb down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. It's the school that we see when we climb up to the light that we see as we crawl through the tunnel down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. It's the school that we see as we crawl through the tunnel down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. It's the janitor that we hear. It's the janitor that we hear as we in the school that we saw when we climbed up to the light that we saw through the tunnel when we climbed down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. It's the janitor that we hear in the school that we saw when we climbed to the light that we saw through the tunnel as we climbed down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. It's the janitor that we hear as in the school that we see when we climb up to the light that we saw in the tunnel down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street. Let's run back. Let's run back. Let's run back from the janitor in the school that we see when we climb up to the light that we see when we crawl through the tunnel down the ladder in the hole in the bottom of the street.
Well, on second thought, that probably wouldn't get me in jail. Maybe suspension for a few days. But I mean, breaking and entering into the school, it's only a minor crime, really. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, let's be honest. In comparison, 1 year later when he was 11, Darryl did something that would actually put me in jail. Enjoy.
Hey, Bruce.
Hey, Darryl.
You want to read this book about caves with me?
A book about caves? Boy, aren't you brainy.
Yeah, whatever, Bruce Wayne. You want to read it or not?
Alright, I got nothing better to do.
Alright. It says here, or here. So this passage about, splunking. Something you know so little about. That isn't splunking. This is splunking. Turns out, splunkers use headlights that use flammable gas. And that flammable gas comes from calcium carbide, which you can get at Sears.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Come on, Bruce. I usually don't.
We can build a bomb!
Bomb? Don't mind me.
So how do we do it?
All right, so my dad, he has everything in his basement. There was this one time when our Uncle Bill, he lost his car battery. It died.
And what happened? I guess you went down and got a car battery for the car?
Yeah, we went down to the basement, we grabbed a car battery, we brought it back up, and we tried to use it for the car.
Did it work?
Nope. But we went down and got another one.
Did that one work?
It didn't.
And?
So we went down, we got a third one, we brought it back up, and it worked. And it was fantastic. My dad, he has like everything in the basement. He has power tools, car parts, 3 dozen packs of jelly donuts, anything.
What can we use to make the bomb?
So we need an ignition coil, a spark plug, some calcium carbide, and water. All right, I'll grab the parts, and we'll use my wagon. We got a plan. No one can know what we're planning. Except you all. Cover your eyes.
We need a bigger battery than this.
Oh, got one.
Is that a car battery?
No, I found it.
That works. Okay, now I think I can get a paint can from the junkyard.
Fantastic.
Setting off a bomb in a public place. Yeah, that would actually probably end up in jail. Yeah, definitely. In any case, Halloween was the night. While all the kids were out trick-or-treating, 2 evil little brats snuck out of their house with a wagon and a battery, intending for evil. They went out into the street where their parents couldn't see them. Instead of trick-or-treating like all the normal kids do, they took a paint can, walked 10 feet away, placed it down. There was a spark plug inside. The battery, the coil, everything else was inside the wagon, as was the switch. They put a cup of water and a cup of calcium carbide pebbles inside the paint can. Then they hammered the paint can in place. And then they threw the switch.
Fire!
Did you hear? Everyone's talking about the fire. But no one has any idea who started it. Do you know?
I wouldn't know.
You know, thinking on it, I'm getting a little bit tired of all this talk about going to jail. Going to jail. I mean, whoever came up with that, he was an idiot. Wait, that was me. In any case, I've gotten a little bit tired about going to jail, so let's talk about a different form of imprisonment. Instead of jail, marriage.
So, Grandma, I've been wondering lately, how did you and Papa really meet?
I was in my senior year in high school, and I was the president of my synagogue youth group. And Darryl and a group of boys from Hofstra College, they would go to every synagogue on Long Island to meet girls. So this group of guys came to my synagogue, and one of them asked me out. It was not Darryl. It was Jerry Axon. Now, I was just mad about Jerry Axon. He looked like Clark Kent. If you took his glasses off, I'm sure he would have looked like Superman. Oh, and I was so in love with him. And we dated for the whole fall of my senior year. And then, as spring started to roll around, it was Valentine's Day. And there was going to be a big prom at Hofstra College. So I was all set waiting at my telephone for him to call, and waiting at my telephone for him to call, and waiting at my telephone for him to call. He didn't call. Darryl was at the prom. He saw that Jerry was not with me. 2 days later, I get a phone call from Darryl. Now, there were like 10 or 12 guys in this group from Hofstra. I had no idea who Darryl was. But he called me, he asked me out, he wanted to take me to a movie and ice cream. And I said, oh, sure, I'd love to go. So we went out, and then we went for ice cream, and we talked, and we talked, and we talked.
What did you do after that? I mean, I'm sure you talked about it with your best friend, right?
Yes, I have a bestie. Her name is Harriet. She now lives all the way in Chicago. But I called her up, and we started talking. And she asked me, well, how was your date? And I said, well, I went out with this guy, and we talked, and we talked. We talked about politics, and we talked about science, and we talked about just about everything. And he was so interesting to talk to. I would never marry him, but he was so interesting to talk to.
So how did you guys get through when you were off to college?
Well, yeah, actually, it was my senior year in high school, and I was off to Cornell, which was many, many miles from Long Island, where Darryl was living, and going first to Hofstra and then to Brooklyn Poly. So while we were off, I started dating other boys at Cornell. And I would date Darryl whenever I came home. And so it worked out pretty well. Those boys were there, and Darryl was there, and we didn't have any trouble except...
Except when?
Well, you see, I was dating this guy, Mike, and Mike lived in Virginia. And so he said, well, I'll drive you home from Cornell, and we'll drop you off, and we can go out in New York before I go back to Virginia. So I said, sure. So we came back to New York, and I went out with Mike. And of course, Darryl heard about it. And Darryl, when I was home, called me every single day without fail. And one full week went by, and I did not get a single phone call from Darryl. I was getting really worried. And finally, he called and said, I can't do without you. I have to call you. I'm so mad at you, but I really can't do without you. And then there was one other time. Darryl came up to visit me at Cornell. And I had dated this one guy who I didn't really care for very much. He had only dated him a couple of times. But he was in the same dorm that Darryl was staying in. And he saw Darryl, and he got so drunk that he climbed up in a tree and pretended that he was a monkey and threw bananas down at all his fraternity brothers.
So you were a senior in high school when you met Papa?
Yep.
So that's only like 2 years older than me, so I could be meeting my future spouse sometime soon.
Yeah, sure could. And now we'll hear about the wedding.
We're getting married in the morning. 11 is the invitation time. The family will be late. They're here on the right date. But 12 is the actual wedding time. I'm getting married in the morning. My white shoes I'm trying hard to find. From whom can I borrow? Can't wait till tomorrow. Harriet's are big, but I don't mind. No rehearsal, the rabbi's late. A funeral happens on this very date. We're getting married in the morning. 6 little girls walk down the aisle. They sit on the bema They block Ed and Mama, but they make the congregation smile. The dinner's over, out of my gown. We've done our simcha, let's get out of town. We got married in the morning. We drove across the USA. From Yellowstone, Grand Canyon, we drove hither and yon. We got to the shul. We got to the shul. Thank God we got to the shul on time.
And of course, the moment you have all been waiting for. My turn. I mean, honestly. In any case, after Papa got his master's degrees at Brooklyn Polytech, he got his first job at Bell Labs. Bell Labs. I am the very model of a 1960s scientist. I worked on Telstar satellites. I'm one of Bell Labs' finest. I worked on Telstar satellites. I'm one of Bell Labs' finest. I'm very skilled at calculus and matters mathematical. I understand equations, both the simple and quadratical. About binomial theorem, I am teeming with a lot of news. Many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. With many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. Cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. Many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. I ask a lot of questions that no one else would ever think to dream. I fish for paramecium and hydras in our local stream. In short, in matters dear to me, I'm curious to find the gist. I am the very model of a 1960s scientist. In short, in matters dear to me, I'm curious to find the gist. I am the very model of a 1960s scientist. From Bell Labs on to Syracuse to GE, I was then employed, made my escape to IBM. Thank heaven I could jump for joy, but IBM means I've been moved, and really did they make it so. From Yorktown Heights to Gaithersburg, Manassas, I am on the go to Harrison, Yorktown again, and Kingston, where my boss was nuts. Cut RTP, I worked on land and taught until they made some cuts. I taught a class in Schengen, China, Korea, and in Tokyo. With Japanese, I learned to find the man to whom they bow so low. With Japanese, I learned to find the man to whom they bow so low. With Japanese, I learned to find the man to whom they bow so low. With Japanese, I learned to find the man to whom they bow so low. I played the game to honor him while others nodded happily. The class was great, they talked to me, it all worked so simply. In short, in matters dear to me, I'm curious to find the gist. I am the very model of a 1960s scientist. In short, in matters dear to me, I'm curious to find the gist. I am the very model of a 1960s scientist. In 2016 times have changed for 1960 scientists. The languages of APL and Fortran have long been missed. To program iPhones, Androids with the very latest games and such. Emoticons and Snapchat and now Pokemon. I don't know very much. I sit at my computer scanning photos and adjusting each. I read the Times and N and O while new biking goals I try to reach. Piano I am trying now, but with two hands it goes so slow. I'll stick to running Premiere Pro to edit every video. I'll stick to running Premiere Pro to edit every video. I'll stick to running Premiere Pro to edit every video. I'll stick to running Premiere Pro to edit every video. Though my engineering skills are plucky and adventure-y, they've only been brought down to the beginning of the century. In short, in matters dear to me, I'm curious to find the gist. I am the very model of a 1960s scientist. So as the grandson of this man here, my mother and her two siblings are his children. They've had a lot of experiences growing up as a family. But they all figured they'd like to share something with you today. And here come the children to share their wonderful experience.
Sharon, whatever happened to my bicycle? You know the bicycle? The one that I took all of my bar mitzvah money for and spent it on the bicycle and then outgrew it in a year?
Yeah, I love that bike. So I got it, well, I'm 3 years younger than you, so I got it at about 11, 12, and I used it till I was late in my 20s, maybe even 30 years old, and I rode it everywhere. It was a fantastic bike.
Well,
not only that, I rode with Papa, or Dad. I think I did like 10 centuries from the time I was 13 to my freshman year in college. I was pretty proud of that.
Well, the only big ride that I had with on that bike was the double century, and I rode it with Dad. And at the end of the ride, he wanted to burn his saddle. He was just so aching so much from that ride. He wanted to burn his saddle.
So the double century, is that the one that you went on when it was the same day as the 50 miles that when I went on when I was 7?
No. That was the Syracuse to Rome ride. That was another century. That was a different time. You were younger.
Just a century,
Not just a century, right?
Yeah,
But
I got the trophy.
You got the trophy.
Not you.
Our childhood, every weekend, we were on the bikes.
And
we
for the
did.
record, I never got that bike. I was
know.
supposed to get all the
It was mine.
hand-me-downs. It never got.
It is mine. Okay, now we're.
Jeffrey, up on your wheels you go. Sharon, be careful, no you're not going slow. Rebecca, you'll win a trophy for 50 miles in one day. So off we'll go to DC Hi-Ho on a bicycle for our crew. Jeffrey, Sharon, let off to Old Lincoln. In the luggage compartment our bikes fly. We'll jump on our cycles as we cry. Cotswell, Oxford, London, Stratford on our bicycles for our crew. Joshua, Gabriel, Sidra and Jonah ride. Mason, Shira, and Alex I'm right by your side. Kayla can ride the recumbent. 3 generations came and went. Our bikes galore when it's Jan 4. There'll be bicycles for our crew.
And now, we will invite up the entire family and the Village Review for our final song. So I would hope that you all come together and join us to sing for the Darryl you all know and some of you love.
Oh, he has a camera. He shoots it in the morning. He shoots it in the evening. All over the town. He shoots for our seniors. He shoots for tea and love. He shoots about life with all his friends and family. All over the world. He has a bike. He rides in the morning. He rides in the evening. All over the town. He rides a tobacco trail. He rides over Green Trail with Josh, Jonas, Indra, Zira, and Gabe. All over the state. He has a torch. He welded in the morning. He welded in the evening. In our atrium. He welded menorahs. He welded ski bumps. He welded fishermen who balance on your hands. All for all the kids. He has the adventures. He taught them how to ride. He taught them how to film scenes. Taught welding to a few. He tells them his adventures. He tells fantastic stories. He talks about love for all the friends and family. Shine, shine, shine all over the world.
There are a few people we have to thank without whose work we could never have done it, and one of them is Jimmy Smith on the piano, Roz Rudman on the drums, and Toby Kennedy, my son-in-law. So I hope you all have had a good time, and let's sing happy birthday again. Happy birthday to you. Cha-cha-cha. Happy birthday to you.
Cha-cha-cha.
Happy birthday, dear Darryl. Happy birthday to
But most of all, we would like to thank thank Grandma because this show would definitely not have happened or even be thought of without her.